You are at a place where constant watchfulness is necessary. You have realized your true desire. Sorry, I'm not speaking very well tonight. You have realized your true desire and made it known throughout the mind. Yet the past desire is not yet resigned to your true desire. This is merely a time of patience, for a past desire cannot long live if new desire is not given to it. Stay focused on your true desire, which is your heart. All remnants of past desire will fade away if you do not slip into listening to it now. Be vigilant and rejoice. The time of freedom is at hand. So it's a very short message, but a very, very good message. I am going to look at it a sentence at a time. So again, if you look at the very first sentence again, you are at a place where constant watchfulness is necessary. I'm just wondering if there's any of us here that really would feel that we were any place else. I think maybe we all know that, right? I'm looking at the names in the room. Many of you I do know personally, and Doug Thompson must know it doubly because it appears he's in the room twice. He's being very vigilant. But we know this, right? That we are all, aren't we all at that place where constant watchfulness is necessary? And I think we probably all forget sometimes, right? By forget I mean we forget to watch. But then when we remember, what Holy Spirit has taught me is when we remember that we need to be watching our mind constantly, and we realize that we just went through a period of not watching the mind, whether it was a minute, 5 minutes, half an hour, especially when busy at work, exactly. We'll get busy and we'll forget to watch our mind. What Holy Spirit has taught me is just when we notice that we have forgotten, in that moment we're not forgetting anymore. So we don't need to judge ourselves or anything. We just in that moment go back to it. And if every time we notice that we forgot to watch, if we go back to the watching, what's really going to happen is the remembrance to watch the mind is going to increase naturally. So, it's like the old saying, we just keep doing our best and our best gets better. The second sentence again is, you have realized your true desire and made it known throughout the mind. In this particular sentence, the word mind would be equivalent to oneness. Because we are one and we are in constant communication. And at some point, each one of us who is here or listening to this recording, we've actually made the decision. We've consciously made the decision to awaken. And when we consciously made that decision to awaken, that was heard throughout our oneness. That decision has been heard. And from that moment on, everything in the universe is coming together to help us to awaken. We've made an irreversible decision. We may forget sometimes the decision we've made, but we have made the decision, every one of us, and we all know it. So everything that happens now in our experience is happening in order to help us awaken. And I see a couple roses on that thought, and that thought deserves some roses. It really does. Because that's wonderful. The entire universe is helping us to awaken now. But the rest of that sentence, you have realized your true desire and made it known throughout the mind. Yet the past desire is not yet resigned to your true desire. What this really means is, yet we still have a split mind. And we know that too. So we've made a decision. We've started in a new direction, the direction of awakening. The entire universe is supporting us in that desire. But yet there still seems to be a struggle. And the reason there still seems to be a struggle is because of the split mind. Now look at the next sentence. This is merely a time of patience. Do you see what Holy Spirit has to say about that? He doesn't say this is a time to get really, really upset because you're not as perfect as you'd like to be. Although that's what the ego might say to us, right? He says this is merely a time of patience. In other words, something has begun, and that something is awakening. And the reason awakening has begun is because we have made the decision to awaken. The Son of God's decision to awaken is not a minor decision. We could call it an earth-shaking or a universe-shaking decision. But because the mind is still split, there's still an experience of struggle. But Holy Spirit refers to that as merely a time of patience. For a past desire cannot long live if new desire is not given to it. So what that means again is when we see the ego in our own mind, in whatever way the ego is showing up, somebody wrote rest. What we really want to do is we want to, if we can, not see the ego as that big of a problem. It may be very loud. There may be a lot of emotions in the body. But what we're really looking at is the effect of a past decision that we once made. That past decision, remember, was the decision to experience something other than truth, to have an experience that was different than truth. And because our mind is not completely healed yet, we are still experiencing effects of that past decision. But if we remember that now we've made a new decision, and we all know that we have, then when this past decision seems to show up as like an echo, we can just rest through it. We can just be patient through it. We can know it's not going to last. And when we do that, we're really just not making that big of a deal out of it. I know that during a period of my time when the ego seemed to be kicking up a lot, I was in the healing process, but the ego was kicking up a lot. I used to spend a lot of time just laying quietly on my bed. The word rest does not necessarily mean physically rest. It really means rest the mind. But because the ego was kicking up so much dust, it seemed easier to rest the mind if I also just rested the body, if I laid on the bed. So I would lay on the bed, and I would just let the ego wash over me. And by wash over me, I really mean wash away. I was being patient with it. I was letting it be, but I wasn't really getting caught up in it. Like the ego might be telling me to go in the other room and, scream at Jasmine or scream at Laurent, and I wasn't in the other room screaming at Jasmine or screaming at Laurent. I was laying on the bed, letting it pass. I was not giving new desire to it. I was being patient. Next, Holy Spirit says, stay focused on your true desire, which is in your heart. The way NTI teaches us is just remember what you truly want, awakening. So the mind may be telling me I want this situation to change, or I want this person to change, or I want this emotion to go away. But in reality, there's something that we want more. We want awakening. And when we remember that we want awakening, then what we can do is be patient with whatever else is, knowing that whatever it is, it's going to pass. It's going to, it's not real. And another way I want to say that is it's not as real as we are. Because it can seem real in the moment. But it's definitely not as real as we are. Because what we are is eternal. And we are going to, by far, out-exist any temporary experience or situation. So all we need to do is be patient. And remember what we really want. And that's to awaken to our truth. Our eternal, peaceful, joyful truth. And let whatever is be, remembering also that it's not eternal. It is going to pass. And in fact, the next sentence says, all remnants of past desire will fade away if you do not slip into listening to it now. Which means don't get all caught up in it again. Because of course we give it our energy and that makes it exist or be meaningful to us a little longer, right? So we want to remember what we want. We want to stay focused in a time of patience. And anything that is not real must fade. That was Be Watchful with Me Part 2. Now if you look at the screen, you'll notice where it says Be Watchful with Me Part 3.